Eagles. Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Monday edition of Birds 365, coming off Week 13 in the NFL, and the Philadelphia Eagles get their 8th straight win to move to 10-2 on the year. This one coming against arguably the best opponent of the season, the Baltimore Ravens, who fall to 8-5. Johnny Mack, how you doing on this Monday morning, my friend?
Doing well. A little tired, but I'm here. That's all you can ask for.
Good travel back last night from Baltimore?
It was better than the travel down. So at least leaving late gave us a little bit of a break from I-95. I don't know what's going on there in that Delaware choke point.
Yeah.
But it's got to be fixed. Donald Trump. That's message number one.
A day one activity for the new administration.
Day one. Fix it. Fix it.
Now that is worthy of a lot if somebody can fix I-95. I doubt it, but we can put it out there. Johnny Mack, that's a big win yesterday, man. And another signature win for this football team. They moved to 10-2. It's their 8th straight win. And John, they just keep bullying. They just keep out physicaling even the most physical teams. What was your first couple takeaways? Now that we're a day or a night removed from the win yesterday, what were your first thoughts and takeaways on the Eagles' win over the Ravens yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was an impressive win, especially we talked about, what happens when they go down by 2 scores, and it was 9-0. So it was a little bit, it wasn't, they didn't play well early. That's been the theme of the season. But they typically stayed in games, either 1-score games or even being ahead despite slow starts. So it was interesting that they were down to a good team. And they didn't panic. I thought that was number one. And I think that's very positive because they were moving the football early, the Baltimore Ravens. So that was an impressive adjustment. And that's sort of what Vic Fangio is known for as a defensive coach. And then offensively, yeah, I mean, the formula, so to speak, I hate that word, but it's working. They win every game the same way. Slow start. Then they start to wear the opponent down. I don't know. I said, I don't think Baltimore got out physical. I don't think the Eagles out physical, Baltimore out physical the Eagles. I think it's just two physical teams battling. And I think they both played physically. I didn't take that from it. But I do take the Eagles' ability to wear people down from the perspective of what they do. And I know the stat sheet says they didn't throw the ball well. They only had 118 yards passing. And it's I keep saying it's got to be better than that, but does it have to be better than that? I don't know. But I can argue, on the, the game-winning drive, one of the big things about that particular aspect of it was the Dallas Goedert first down on 3rd down. I think that was the biggest play of the game. I really do. It was 3rd and 7 from the Eagles 41, and it was a beautifully thrown ball to Dallas Goedert in stride. He got 9 yards, and then from that point forward, you could see the air come out of the Ravens a little bit. And then Barkley went off left tackle for 14 yards. Jalen Hurts had a keeper for 11 yards, and Barkley went in from 25. And I think that's what wears on opposing defenses, the ability to do what you need to do at a particular time. And you're sitting there as a defense going, all right, we got him. We can get off the field, yada, yada, yada. They're not throwing the ball well, and bang. Perfectly executed play. I can't explain why that's not there more consistently in the passing game, but I don't know what it is. But this team makes big plays in big situations when they have them in the passing game. And I think that deflates it from the opposing perspective. And then all of a sudden all right, here comes the running game downhill at you, and pretty much closed the game. Obviously, the Ravens had a late touchdown, but that was meaningless. And yeah, impressive win on the road against a very good team and very good team at home. And an offense that has been playing at an historic level, and the Eagles shut them down. I mean, the yardage, yeah, there's a decent amount of yardage, but if you look at what they've been doing to everybody else, the Eagles defense shut them down.
Isn't that the philosophy of the system though? When you play a great offense, I mean, we're good with if they get yards between the 20s, but once they get down in the red zone, we need to stop them and get
Yeah, I
stops. They
mean,
only gave
yeah.
up 12. I know they gave up 19, but that garbage time touchdown, they were playing, prevent defense, and Lamar runs for 45 yards. I'm not going to kill the defense for that, but I think the defense played amazing, man. I mean, you hold
Well,
this
so
team to
do I.
12
So
points,
do
yeah.
I. I mean, yeah, you know me. I'm not a stat guy to begin with, but I don't even care about the points and that because that's what the NFL is. There's a lot of garbage, and everybody forgets about it and moves on to the next week, and they accumulate the statistics and say this is impressive or that's impressive. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. It could be garbage time. In this particular case, 19's good because Tucker left 7 points on the field that he typically, but Justin Tucker from a year ago, never mind 5 years ago, those are made kicks. So, whatever's going on with him, but so, but giving up 19 points to this team is really good, really good. So, yeah, I think that defense has been the story. I know it's not. The story of the year is Saquon Barkley, and rightfully so. He's having a historic season, but you should give at least a 1A to that defense because I can't find one person to predicted this was going to be maybe the best defense in the NFL. Never mind maybe the best defense, even a top 10 defense. Everybody was talking, including myself, about, well, if you can just get them to middle of the road, and a lot of that is Jalen Carter. I said on the post game show last night. I mean, we've been banging back and forth about, well, who's the best player on the Eagles? Is Saquon Barkley? Is it AJ Brown? Is it AJ Brown? Is it Saquon Barkley? Time to put Jalen Carter in that conversation.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
That dude is wrecking games, and he's playing. He almost played the whole game again. I think he missed one snap. I mean, he's getting it, and Vic has been that way. If you could play, he's not taking you off the field. And I do think there's guys like Max Crosby, I bring up all the time, who play every snap on the defensive line. Like, defensive lines become a rotational position because that's how most teams do it. But there are certain teams with certain players, they don't take them off the field unless they have to.
71 out of 72 snaps for Jalen Carter.
Yeah. And, he's wrecking games.
How about Zack Baun, John? He continues to play.
Yeah, he's having
unbelievable. I mean, another primetime game in a primetime spot versus the Ravens. And he shows up again. I tell you what, dude, the guy's price tag is going up $1 million to $1.5 million a week right now with what he's doing. What'd you make of his performance yesterday versus the Ravens?
Yeah, I mean, he's been one of those stories as well. Who was, I don't think anybody could have projected that. It's funny that, the Eagles last time were in Baltimore in the preseason, which, it's preseason, but I remember Zach did not look good. And it was started that conversation. How bad are the Eagles going to be at linebacker this year? That's where we were in August. And linebackers been one of the true strengths of the team. And yeah, Zack Baun, he's an all-pro. He's an all-pro. With, there's 5 games to go, but right now he's an all-pro. And an all-pro doesn't mean Pro Bowl. It means 2 guys, basically. Well, they'll make it 3, because nobody moves forward, but nobody plays 3 linebackers now. He's an all-pro. Who saw that coming?
It's amazing what he's doing. I think they're gonna get him signed. I know his price tag's getting high, but I don't think Howie can let this guy walk out the door. I really don't. I don't know how you do it. How do
Yeah,
you let him walk?
first of all, I wouldn't worry about contracts right now. I mean, this team is focused on winning the Super Bowl, and that stuff will take care of itself. Certain guys have bet on themselves. Zack Baun, most notably, and he's not even betting on himself. He didn't have another option, but right now he's betting on himself. He probably isn't going to take a cost-effective deal. Milton Williams has bet on himself. He's had a very good season. Josh Sweat, you got to worry about. Josh Sweat's having a great season and has become even more important. But this is every NFL team. I would encourage people to not focus. We got plenty of time to focus on the contracts. I don't think it's going to be doable until you get, closer to the offseason with Zack Baun. But Howie surprised me in the past. I mean, and I'm sure Zach is appreciative. I know it. I talked to him about it. He's appreciative of the opportunity he has gotten from the Eagles, but he's got one shot to make just dramatic, life-changing money, and he probably wants to take advantage of it. And I don't think anybody should criticize him for that at all. It's a business, and right now he's got the leverage, and my guess is he's getting the advice to use it.
Pretty amazing what's going on. John, what'd you make of, obviously, one of the big plays of the game that everybody's talking about is Cooper DeJean lifting up Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Like, it was almost like he welcomed Derrick Henry to the league in that moment, not the other way around, which is what Derrick Henry's done to many other people. He continues to impress as well. Boy, did Howie hit a home run with these top 2 draft picks this year. And maybe, John, maybe the top 3 draft picks. Jalen Hunt played a big role yesterday, and I thought he was not bad at all. He looked pretty good. He set the edge, played a lot of snaps, and he was not a liability out there at all.
Yeah, the only thing you're right. He was not. He, that's one of the things you hope, throw him into that's what Vic, I believe, said. We'll see, because he's going to play. Nolan Smith got a real uptick in snaps. He said that necessarily wouldn't be the case. Basically, Chuck Harris didn't even play, and O'Shawn Mathis, who they elevated from the practice squad, was just special teams. So, it was Nolan Smith playing a ton of snaps, and
Just
he
a
played
3-man
well.
rotation, right, on the edges?
Yeah,
Sweat, Smith, and Jalix.
And I'll have to watch the game again. Obviously, I haven't rewatched it yet, but they, maybe, I don't know. Maybe they threw Milton out there on occasion, but certainly not noticeable during the game. Nolan played a ton, and Josh, and obviously Jalix Hunt. So the only problem there is, is that sustainable? They're not Max Crosby, so I don't know if all 3 can be Max Crosby and just play constantly at that level. But they're going to have to get a 4th guy where maybe it's Chuck Harris. Maybe, he just got here. Maybe it's one of the young guys, at least to get, 10 somewhat down. But, look at the snaps Saquon played. The Eagles are staying true to their mantra of basically, we'll manage them during the week. They're staying true to that mantra. And they had 56 offensive snaps, and Saquon was out there for 49 of them in week 13. That's a lot. And
just 8 yards short, by the way, John, of a jersey this week. 8 yards short for Saquon.
Yeah, that's the same thing, man. They did a pretty good job on him, a pretty good job. pretty good job right up until they didn't. And that's been the, you got to be, it wears on you. I talk about it with Jalen Hurts, same type of thing. It wears on you. You can be so disciplined and play a solid game. And they were doing that. I think he had 44 yards going into the fourth quarter. And all of a sudden he's 7-8 yards away from our 125.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
got within 5, and then his last run of the game, he went backwards for 3 yards. So I'm like, oh, fell out of it. He fell out of range.
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Risk it. The worst is if we went over 125. At least he didn't get over, and then people get excited, and then you get the 3-yard loss or 4-yard, whatever it was. So at least he didn't get there. But that's a bad game for Saquon Barkley. And he got serenaded with MVP chants. Think about that. In the home of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, he's the one who's serenaded. Now, a lot of Eagles fans are obviously Ravens fans are disappointed at that point, but still it was pretty cool to see. And he doesn't care about the MVP, but I know the fans do. And he's in it.
A new conspiracy, John, is flying around. Xander offered the Ravens players some cash to stop him from getting 125.
Oh.
And not confirmed suplex. John, one other thing I wanted to talk about from this game. And this is maybe my only real concern left on this team going late into the year now.
Let's move the goalpost. Let's move the goalpost for all.
What's going on though, John, with the start of these games? Because I can't figure it out for the life of me.
They're very consistent.
Yeah, they're very consistently sucking ass. And in the first quarter of the game, I don't understand. If you just took off the first quarter of games, we'd be like the best team, since
in history.
The greatest show. I don't know what happens in the first quarter. It's the scripted plays. They come out and they don't work. And maybe it's not the scripted plays. Whatever reason.
I don't think it's the plays. I think it's the execution.
Yeah, but why is it so much worse in the first quarter than every other quarter of every
I don't know. I asked Jalen. I mean, when they got it going, it seems like almost always when they finally get it going, part of it was they got a big punt from Braden Mann that Sidney Brown was able to down at the 1 yard line, I believe. So part of it was that. And then they got a 3 and out, which they shouldn't have, but Lamar missed a wide open Zay Flowers that would have been a first down. But he missed it, and then they got to short field. And then they started with tempo. And they go right down the field. I mean, the first play they lost a yard was a Barkley run. And then they started, the only sort of uptick in the passing game was on that drive. They even got Jahan Dotson involved. He was the first, 2nd and 11 for a 7-yard gain. Then it was 3rd and 4. And then it was a keeper. No, that was Saquon up the middle. So that was a big play, 3rd and 4, converting that on the ground. And then it was the keeper to Jalen Hurts. And all this, they're doing tempo. Then there was a short pass to A.J. Brown, and then the touchdown to Dallas Goedert. That quick. And I don't know. This team looks better when they use tempo. Now, you can't always use tempo. You can't be Chip Kelly. But I think it helps this team get sort of a feel for it. But, yeah, they're just bad at the start of games. They've been bad all year. It hasn't affected them that much, obviously. Then they get their bearings for whatever reason. Hey, they came out in the third quarter. It was the same thing. They were awful in the third quarter offensively.
Well, they didn't play. John, they weren't on the field in the third quarter.
Well, that's true. Baltimore was moving. Baltimore dominated the third quarter, and they had the two. And was it?
And they got no points.
Yeah, they got no points, and that really killed them.
Yeah.
But the Eagles only had 2 possessions. You say Baltimore Baltimore was moving the football well in the third quarter, and then they would just do something stupid to derail their drive. And whether it was Lamar Jackson taking 14-yard sacks and just, he's just going backwards. And that turns a 33-yard kick for a struggling kicker into a 47-yard kick. Now, he probably makes the 33-yarder. He ain't making the 47-yarder.
That was a bad sack by Lamar.
Yeah,
Boy,
that
for
was
as good as he is and for the plays he gives you, he does give you some of the other way too. I mean, he missed a couple guys that were just so wide open. I mean, if Jalen Hurts did that, people in Philly would have been having his head on a platter. I mean, he missed a couple throws that were brutal in that game.
At least 3 I can think of.
Yeah, I can think of 3
and
too.
that was one of them, the Zay Flowers throw near, backed up, which would have been a big play for them. Who knows? Maybe they don't go anywhere. They're probably not going to go the length of the field, but at least you don't flip the field with the field position and you can get it out a little bit. But anyway, so he takes that sack and Tucker misses the field goal, the 47-yarder. And then they get the football for the first time with some momentum, which Jalen Hurts again said doesn't exist. I agree with him. But anyway, that's another conversation. And nothing, 3 and out. Jalen Hurts running around. Technically, it's a sack, but for no yards. Barkley loses a yard on a run. And then incomplete pass to Barkley. And Braden Mann's out there punting it again. 3 and out. And then the Ravens get the ball back and they move it again. And they move it again. And they're moving the football. And, all of a sudden, same thing. They bog down. Nelson Aguilar has a chance to make a couple plays, by the way. Nelson doing his old team a solid. Those were tough catches, but he had a shot at both of them. And the other one, he wouldn't have had his foot in anyway. But anyway, Nelson was Nelsoning. And Tucker's going on from 53 and no shot. The guy's confident. Unbelievable how far he has fallen. And he misses a 53-yarder. And then the Eagles get it back for 3 plays. Jalen Hurts starts out right end, negative yard, short left, short pass to Barkley for 5, and then incomplete to Barkley, and you're punting again. That was the third quarter. 6 offensive plays for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's it. And Baltimore had the ball for the whole quarter and didn't get any points. And then field goals.
What the hell has happened to Justin Tucker? It's amazing. He goes from a literal Hall of Fame kicker.
Oh, yeah.
To, I mean, are they going to move on from him?
It.
You can't go late into the year with this. He's missing regular kicks, John. He's got 11 misses this year.
Well, 53 is tough, but, typically, and 47. Look, it's not. It's a bad weather game. Michael Clay talked about this early. When everybody was kicking these 50-yarders early, he said it's going to change when the weather turns. So these kicks become tougher in that kind of weather. But
yeah, but we've seen Justin Tucker.
No, that's what I mean. We've seen this. We've seen this particular kicker make those kicks like it was nothing. So he's a little bit different than the average kicker, But everybody loses it at some point. Maybe he's just lost it, whatever. But the entire third quarter was all Ravens, and they didn't score a point. But to your point about the Eagles coming out of the locker room, they're brutal in the first quarter. They're brutal in the third quarter.
They're not normally brutal in the third quarter, right? That was a yesterday thing.
That was yesterday. Not normal. Not at that level. They just couldn't get anything going. And when you don't convert on third down and you're right off the field, yeah, it's difficult. But they persevere. You got to give them credit for that. It's got to be a little bit of a concern, the slow starts, but I mean, they keep winning games.
I mean, you saw another instance yesterday in that game where Baltimore had a chance to take a commanding lead early because the offense had nothing going and the defense didn't quite settle in yet. It normally takes them a couple series to settle in. I thought the Ravens had a chance to go up multiple scores.
Oh, they did. They did. And they did.
4 straight punts. They even started the game with 4 punts. Braden Mann. Thank Braden Mann for the offense getting going. he got him the ball in plus territory when he punted it down to the 1.
Yeah, and he had a great game, Braden, man.
Yeah, he did.
Great game. I think he had 5 punts.
He's been good. He's been a good pickup from Howie to
Yeah.
replace Aaron Sipas.
Very good compared to Aaron.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for Aaron, but yeah, I think there were 5 punts maybe inside the 20. By the way, the Ravens kicker was brutal. Not there. Well, the kicker was brutal, but their punt returner was awful. No, not the punt. The punt return.
Got you. The return guy.
And Britton Covey, and it's interesting because I was talking to Britton after the game. He was talking about hidden yardage, and Nick brought it up out of nowhere. Well, Nick spoke forever. It's like War and Peace if you read his transcript because he's so happy about the win. But
it's a big win for him, man. It's a signature win. It's a good win to go in.
The team. Lane Johnson's never beaten this team. He's talking about 12 years. They've never won in Baltimore. Now they've never won in Cincinnati. They stopped that. They've never won in Baltimore. It's historic. And I see Jeff Kerr, so we're going to get Jeff Kerr in here.
Yeah, let's get to the break. So I can get to Jeff. All right, good stuff. Good opening segment here. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Got a good crowd in here on Birds 365 this morning. Appreciate all of you guys. Jay Big, good morning, brother. Kyle Wright, Kyler Sanders, Dank Bird Gang. A is in here. What's up, A? Shooter McGavin, one of our great Eagles haters in the chat. Slagger 57, flexing and stepping. Good to see everybody in here this morning. I'll get to a couple super chats real quick. What would be the J-Mac response and be in August? If somebody super chatted, we'd have top linebacker play with Baun and Dean and the number 1 defense. I think you would have got to stop it. F-body guy.
You would have gotten to stop it, but it would have never happened. You know why it would have never happened? Because they were all yelling at me for saying that Kobe Dean was going to start over Devin White. So it would have never happened.
True. If it came in August, it would have been Baun and White. It wouldn't have been Dean.
Yeah,
that's true.
I still haven't gotten any apologies for that.
Oh, you've gotten plenty. Alexander,
I'm not talking from you. I'm talking about.
I see the people in the chat who gave you your kudos. They like to rag on you and all the other shit. Alexander Harris says defense wins championships, but for real, I think this team can hang with anyone just because the defense is so good.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason they can't hang with anyone. I mean,
yeah, they just shut down the greatest player on earth.
I mean, Buffalo's impressive, but I don't look at that team as fear other than Josh Allen, but you just kind of dealt with a Josh Allen type player. Detroit, a little bit, but they've gotten so many injuries recently. I'm starting to waver on them a little bit. I mean, how many defensive injuries can you survive from their standpoint? So they've looked mortal. I don't see any team. You know, Thursday night's Detroit Green Bay. I'm very interested to see that game because I think Green Bay's going up. And I think Detroit, not that they're going down because they're 11-1, but
no, I know what you mean. They're certainly got some injuries and stuff going on there.
Yeah, so that game's going to be interesting. I look at Detroit and Green Bay and a little bit of Minnesota, as the only teams to be concerned about.
I can't bring myself to do it. I watched their game yesterday. I mean, it was. They escaped with a good win. I mean, over the Cardinals, but I
saw the end of that game, and obviously I was in Baltimore, but we were watching that, and the Ravens. Kudos to the Ravens because they showed the games pretty late on the big scoreboard, and that was the interesting game because Arizona was playing really well. Plus, I like JG, so I was paying attention to that game.
Yeah,
but I'm starting to believe in Sam Darnold's a good freaking player.
He is. He's solid. I mean, I don't know why I can't buy him.
And that dumb team, by the way, is going to move on from him. You know,
well, they drafted. Yeah,
I don't give a shit. He can play. That guy can play. He's
gonna get paid this year, man. Somebody's gonna pay him. Yeah, he's gonna get
somebody's
paid.
Gonna luck into something.
Yeah,
I'm taking my victory lap on Sam Darnold.
Good stuff. One more super chat, and then we'll bring up Jeff Kerr. Some of the nastiest zebra display I've seen in a while since the Super Bowl. How many flags were picked up and how many were not blatantly called? That's a big topic yesterday, John.
Oh, they were always up. Give it up. Stop with the officials. We
Pumper,
just had this discussion.
Pumper, I knew you were going to get Johnny Mac pissed at that one. Let's go to Jeff Kerr. Real quick, let's go to Jeff Kerr. But before I do that, I want to tell you guys about the great people at BetUS. Check out the promo code I just put on your screen. It's YouTube150. Gives you a 150% sign-up bonus on your very first deposit. You get 125% on your second and third deposits, all up to $2,000. So deposit less and bet with more at BetUS. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa, and they're the fastest payouts in the industry. So use that promo code and go get your betting started at BetUS.